I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me.
Prince Siddhartha lived a sheltered yet privileged life within the palace walls. However, one fateful day during a journey outside, he encountered sights of human suffering that deeply moved him. Witnessing the pain, old age, and death that permeated the world outside his luxuries stirred a deep desire in the prince to seek answers, and thus began his spiritual quest. Siddhartha renounced his royal ties to embark on an ascetic journey seeking truth. After years of practicing severe self-mortification without reward, he realized this extreme path was fruitless. Instead, he pursued a middle way of moderation. Seated under the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha sank into deep meditation, confronting all inner and outer forces of distraction and temptation. Emerging from meditation's depths, he attained enlightenment, discovering the Four Noble Truths that explain the causes and cessation of suffering. Prince Siddhartha arose as the Buddha, the awakened one. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, studied many spiritual philosophies when he created this movement that he called Unity. And for years, I've wanted to look at what are the connecting points between Unity and Buddhism. You know, there's no documentation anywhere that I could find in Unity literature that ties the two together. So I have to admit, I'm creating this series of talks for my own interest, because I'm curious, what is the correlation between these two amazing paths? So today we begin that journey of discovery to figure out what it is that resonates with my soul, maybe yours too, about these two very seemingly different paths of spiritual tradition. While arising from different traditions, Unity and Buddhism both aim to eliminate suffering by awakening to the sacred truth of our divine nature. Exploring Buddhism's insight into attachment and craving, we can deepen our capacity as Unity practitioners to express unconditional love and manifest the peace that's within. So there is a shared goal between these two spiritual paths and a true nature that connects us with the essence and the truth of who we are and expands our understanding across truths. And my hope is that as we explore them both together, that you'll understand the similarities and the differences, and this will motivate you to deepen your own spiritual path. The first noble truth that Prince Siddhartha recognized was that suffering is part of life. It's something that all human beings experience in some way, through birth, aging, illness, death. They're universal experiences that we all have. And Unity teaches that attaching to impermanent things causes pain. When we falsely seek satisfaction in worldly pains or worldly things, we suffer. The second noble truth, as Siddhartha understood, was that suffering arises from craving and attachment. right? Craving is kind of like when we really want something and we desire something like material possessions or money or really wanting to be happy and not willing to settle for anything else. It creates emotional pain when we aren't able to get or maintain that thing that we are craving. Craving feels like we just can't get enough. Ever felt that way? Ever had those potato chips and it's like, I just can't have, I have to have another one. I have to have some more, and it can be that way with so many things in our life. We crave for more satisfaction, for more love, for more joy, for more money, for, a partner that satisfies us more. More chocolate, yes. So craving creates suffering because it repeatedly sets up the expectation that reality is unable to meet. So the clash of desire and reality generates wave after wave of suffering. And freedom comes when we can transcend this cycle. And attachment's another thing that causes suffering. Attachments refer to clinging to people, to ideas, to experiences. My ideas are right? Ever have that attachment to your idea? Right? I got the right way. Nobody else sees it. Why doesn't everybody else think the way I do? Right? So we have these false beliefs that we think that this attachment to something, the partner, the love, the life, the health, the money is going to bring us happiness. And the things that we are often attached to, we discover aren't permanent. And when they go away, then we suffer. In unity, we suffer when we look to external things rather than to that divine presence within us. So much of what we study and that we work towards is connecting with that divine presence within. As we talked last week, our happiness comes by experiencing the fullness of our Christ self. This being, this internal being that we are, that's connected with the universe. And as we can discover that connection, we can find happiness. Seems like kind of doom and gloom so far, doesn't it? But the third noble truth that Siddhartha discovered is that there is an end to suffering. Whew, isn't it great? He realized that by eliminating craving, by eliminating attachment, we can attain liberation from suffering and experience true peace and freedom. Isn't that great? Isn't that what we want? Yeah. And unity, affirms that the divine reality already dwells within us, that we have all that we need, right? It's all right here if we just turn within and allow ourselves to experience it. Now, the fourth noble truth, Siddhartha discovered had the solution or the path to enlightenment, to nirvana. And that path to nirvana he called the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path has 8 separate paths, truths that we can walk through to experience nirvana or the peace and the joy and the love that we desire. This path encompasses right view, which we'll talk about today, right thought, we'll talk about next week, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right connection. Now, those of us who've been around unity for a long time, if you look at these, you'll realize a lot of the unity principles that we teach are involved in this eightfold path. And of course, unity has its own spiritual practices that lead to ending suffering, and they are prayer, meditation, studying truth principles, affirmations, cultivating unconditional love, and selfless service. So, after the Buddha achieved enlightenment, he dedicated the remainder of his life to sharing the teachings and guiding others towards this path of liberation. His profound wisdom, his compassion, and transformative teachings continue to inspire people all over the world. I think Buddhism is probably the largest spiritual path on the planet. So, thus, his own unwavering determination and the illumination of the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha discovered the path to enlightenment. And so, today, we're going to begin that journey to enlightenment, that journey to nirvana. Is anyone willing to take that journey with me? Yes. Okay, woohoo! Yes, and it's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting. So what is nirvana? Buddhism's term for the ultimate state of spiritual liberation. While Buddhists conceive nirvana as the extinction of the ego and all attachments, we can understand it in unity principles or through the unity lens as awakening to our divine self, to awakening to the essence and the truth of who we are, beyond any limited perception or thought of separation. Unity sees our purpose as consciously manifesting our divine potential. Everything that we talk about in Unity churches, everything we talk about here on Sunday morning is about getting rid of all the stuff that's in the way that keeps us from seeing our divine potential and achieving it. So imagine that you want to take a hike to nirvana. And you've heard about it. You've heard people talk about it. You've seen people that shared their journey and experienced it and realized that, these who experience nirvana have peace. They have joy. They have love, right? And they have the ability to be totally present in the moment. You still want to take that path? Okay. So remember, the first noble truth, just to review, is all humans suffer. The second noble truth is suffering is caused by craving and attachment. And I guess we have to talk about some of the ways we suffer. Right? Because as you know, on the spiritual path, you have to experience some growth, don't you? Wouldn't it be great if you could just snap your fingers and boom, you're there? Right? You got it. You're enlightened. Woo-hoo-hoo! Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. Spiritual growth comes as a result often of experiencing something that's not fun and that can feel like suffering. You know, we can have physical or mental pain, right? We can have illness, injury, or experience aging. We can resist impermanence. Ever try to resist change? Nobody in this room, right? Nobody out there watching on Facebook either, right? But we do have it's a kind of a human tendency, it seems like, to resist change. But this path is about surrendering to it, just realizing that change happens. And we like to think that happiness is determined by external conditions. And as we talked about last week, true happiness comes by being happy with this fullness, with this life, with this love that's within us. And the next thing that can cause suffering is delusion. It's not seeing things clearly. Ever discover that when you change your perception about something, it changes everything, doesn't it? So we're going to talk about how we can change our perception and our expectations and experience the fullness that's here right now. And as if that isn't enough things we can suffer from, I got some more. We can suffer from physical or emotional pain, or mental pain, when we're attached to people, status, idea, things. Right? When we're attached to our ego, when we cling to the fixed identity of this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I want, and when we get stuck in that and not wanting to change. And we can experience suffering when we repeat unhelpful behaviors. Ever do that? Wow, we got some honest people here today. They're admitting that they they repeat unhelpful behaviors. Well, stop it. So we're gonna talk about how can we be focused on this path? How can we be okay with wherever it is and where we are right now and experience the fullness of who we are? So the third truth of the Noble Truth is shows that suffering, we can transcend suffering. But we get to go through some of it on the way there. And the fourth Noble Truth is a map to transcend suffering. And this is where we are today. We're going to start today with looking at the Eightfold Path. Buddha called it the middle way, because it requires some work, it requires some discipline, but it didn't mean being in bondage, or it's not a horrible, tedious or torturous experience. It can be challenging, right? But it's not about torturing ourselves to experience enlightenment. It's about realizing that suffering and the difficult parts of it are part of the transformation that we're about making. So, today we're looking at right view. Many consider this the most important path on the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path isn't a one-way journey, right? All of the things that we'll be talking about over the next few weeks all play into it, right? It's not like you follow a significant road to get to enlightenment or to get to nirvana. But the right view is considered the most important because it's kind of like a compass. What we are going to be about today is engaging that compass so that we can be heading in the right direction to experience nirvana or enlightenment. So, the right view in Buddhism is seeing reality as it is and recognizing the impermanence of it. And in unity, we see the right view as knowing the truth. Just knowing the truth. Being open to and experiencing what that truth is. And people have said, know the truth and it'll set you free, right? So this is the idea is parallel to what Buddhism believes. When we accept the truth, when we embrace the truth, then all of a sudden we are free. Have you ever experienced that freedom? Right? When you realized that, for me, when I realized that presence of God is everywhere in the universe, right? It's not just some being on a cloud somewhere, that it's everywhere in the universe, it kind of freed my thinking to realize, wow, God is love. God is everywhere. So the right view is to know the truth, to experience the truth, and to be the truth. Let's see. Okay, so Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, wrote, right seeing leads to right thinking. Right thinking leads to right action. It's kind of a basic idea in unity, because we know that one of our precepts is that we take responsibility for what we do, right? And that responsibility comes from right seeing, understanding truth, having right thinking. So, because we are always working on how can we improve our thinking, so how can we sometimes change our perspective so that we see the whole picture, and then we can do what? We can take appropriate actions. Real basic to what unity believes. So, right view is that we see past temporary things, right? We realize that everything is changing, and we realize that our happiness comes by looking further, by having this view, this wider perspective, this wider view. And we realize that the eternal and the divine presence is everywhere in the universe. It's part of all life. It's part of all truth. And and we release false implications, identifications, feelings of separation, and attachment to worldly things. In unity, we look at ourselves through the view of the Christ presence, through that lens, and we recognize that that is the truth of who we are. And we call this present Christ, right? But it could be our divine presence, the essence, could be love, could be light. But it's looking at our life and ourselves through that presence, that Christ consciousness. So how do we achieve this? What can we do? Well, I'm going to offer you one exercise today. We don't have, unless you want to stay here all day, we can go through the whole gamut of all the possibilities for right view. But we're going to look at it in one way today, and that is to look at what are the things that you value. Because the right view is about adjusting your thinking to what's really important to you. So did you all get a clipboard and a piece of paper and a pencil? Everybody didn't get that? Would you raise your hand? Anybody else? Those of you who are watching on Facebook, John needs one right here too. Anybody watching on Facebook, go find a piece of paper and a pencil. And just kind of hold it in your lap. We're going to do a little connection here, a little introspection. So let's just kind of take a breath. And I invite you to just kind of let go of everything, let go of any expectations that you might have for what this exercise might be, and just be in this moment. And I invite you to open your awareness, open your presence, open yourself to inspiration, and to ask yourself, what are the 3 to 5 things that I value most? And just reflect on them and come up with 3 to 5. And just kind of breathe and don't think too hard, because we really want to come from a place of divine understanding, and sometimes thinking gets in the way of that. And it just might be the first 5 things you think of. So turning back to this paper, at the very top, you can write the things that have the most value for me. And then under that, list them, 3, 4, or 5 of them, things that you value most in your life. No copying from your neighbor either on this. Is a And then when you've got them all written down, just look up so that I know when you're all ready, I'll move on. Okay, now, next to each one, put an approximation of how much time you spent on each one in the last week. Just a guess, you don't have to figure out in hours and minutes, just And then as you look at your list, what do you notice? Do you notice that you spend a lot of time on the things that are top priority? Or a little? So what we're doing is we're kind of expanding our view and really looking at, okay, these are the things that are really important to me, to you. Are you giving them the time that you could? Are you spending your time on the things that are most important to you? So the right view helps us clarify our values, to really look at what do we want to experience? What does my heart tell me that I want to spend my time on? And then to look at this and say, is this where I spend my time? Am I truly doing the things that I love? We're really simplifying our priorities. And this is, again, it's just one aspect of right view. If you look at the sheet that I will give out at the end today, you can look at it and perhaps find some other ways, other things that you can look at as far as the right view. To really see if you, as a spiritual being having a physical experience, have an appropriate view for where you are on your journey. Having the right view transforms and hopefully clarifies and can motivate us to do the things that our heart desires, to spend our energy in a way that works with our divine connection, right? With that essence of truth of who you are, who we are as human beings. The journey of life consists of twists and turns and peaks and valleys. Yet the right view provides us with an inner compass to stay on that path of spiritual wisdom. It illuminates the idea that we are connected to all things, and that we are connected to the universe in such a way that we are actively promoting and pursuing that which is really important for us. The right view dispels the illusion of a permanent separate self and reveals the interconnectedness underlying all existence. This understanding sparks compassion, sparks change. Because we want to discover, if we're not on the right path, then what can we change? Do we change our values? Do we change our priorities? Are you headed in the right direction? Are you headed in the right way based on the right view for yourself? You know, when we're on this path to nirvana, if we truly want to experience peace and joy and love, we must be doing the things that resonate with us. Otherwise, we're going to suffer in some way. If you are not pursuing the things that your heart desires, then in some way, suffering happens, right? Because there's resistance. All of this is about clearing the resistance so we can be the fullest, best expression of truth that we are. In Buddhism, we want to experience the ultimate reality, the ultimate joy, the peace, and we want to celebrate our potential. Right view is our trusted guide. Through it, we can transcend the causes of suffering by understanding and embodying truth. And I hope that this perspective shifts the way you are on your journey, and that you experience fulfillment and love and all that your heart desires. Therein lies the destination that we all are pursuing. With the right view as my trusted guide, I transcend the causes of suffering as I understand and embody my life's purpose and direction. Say this with me. With right view as my trusted guide, I transcend the causes of suffering, and I understand and embody my life's purpose and direction. I invite you to close your eyes. Breathing in and breathing out. And as you breathe, let the breath connect you with the essence of who you are. And as you breathe, consider that which is your highest value. What is the thing that was dominant on your list today of things that you value most? And I invite you to embrace this idea, this person, this activity. And to imagine that you can hold it near your heart. Feeling the essence. Feeling the power. Feeling the connection with the fullness of all that you are. With the Christ nature. And as you hold it, you might ask, how can I serve you? What can I know? What can I be? How can I love? And let's just rest for a moment in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Gently begin to bring your awareness back to this moment. Holding on to embracing this that you love. And I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. Well, I invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings and your gifts. And as you hold them and prepare them, to really think about what it is that you value and what are you going to do today, tomorrow, to embrace that which has meaning for you. I hope that you don't just put it away and not apply what we talked about today, that you really consider the things that are important to you in your life. And for those of you watching on Facebook, if you'd like to offer us a donation as well, you can go to our webpage, which is www.unityonmaui.org, and make a safe donation there. And so for us all, why don't we hold our gifts and let's affirm and know and pray together our affirmation of prosperity, which begins, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you, loving Spirit, for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them, we give thanks for them, and know that they're moving in and through this amazing ministry and out into the world. And we behold a world that's filled with love, with light, with joy, and with peace. So it is. Thank you. All right. Well, you have an opportunity every Sunday to bring flowers and offer them to us. And if you'd like to do that, there's a sign-up sheet in the back. And you can pick a date, put your name there, and who you'd like those flowers donated to. And we would love to mention them and showcase your beautiful flowers. These ones today are very special. They came from a plastic factory. And they're very beautiful. You know, at first glance, they're just really stunning. And not to take anything away from you, but thank you, Emily, for arranging that. She told me, just skip over the flowers today. You know, I just can't, right? What can I say? All right, well, next Sunday we continue our journey on the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment. The second, or the week 2, is going to be on right thought. How can we think right thoughts to connect with the essence within us, to be the fullness of all that we are? So join us right here next week, and that'll be fun, and we'll continue our journey to Nirvana. And you must be here for all 8 of them if you're really going to make it. You know, it's not like you can skip one, right? So anyway, I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. Oh, and as a bonus for being here this morning, I'm offering you my Walk Your Talk, which you see up here is almost 2 full pages of information. And so don't go home without it. You can, it'll help you to remember what we talked about today and beware of these ideas and principles and to apply them in your life. And it is a white sheet, looks very much like that. It's on the back table, and you can capture it on your way out. Eleanor says, I have a lot of talk for you to walk. Well, that's because I know you're well balanced and you can handle it. I see that I forgot to announce that Prashante is doing this class on Kundalini meditation on Tuesday, right here from 6 till 7:15 p.m. So you can drop in for that. Take a hike, will you?
Take a hike. So yeah, part of our Get Found ministry we do here today is one of our hikes. I decided to change them to Sundays after church because a lot of people couldn't do Saturdays, including that young lady right there. People were saying, hey, I can do any day but Saturdays. So, today we're going to pursue and try to find a waterfall somewhere. There's just 3 of us for right now that have signed up, but if you want to join us, I decided that we're going to use the right view. We're going to take the right view on the path to enlightenment, and we are going to reach Nirvana.
Wow. Today?
Today. It is here, so come join us on the right view, the path to enlightenment, to reach Nirvana. What do you think?
Oh, very good.
Well, 3 o'clock here, 3 to 7. Yep, 3 o'clock to 7. Yep, we'll meet here and we'll decide as a group which waterfall we want to pursue.
Fabulous. Thank you for doing that. Let's give Mike a big hand. Woohoo! Thanks, Mike. All right, I think that wraps it up. All right, so why don't we stand? Take a deep breath and we'll say and pray the prayer for protection together, and then we'll join hands and sing the peace song. So for ourselves and for the world and for all life, let's pray the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you for being here today. Much joy this week and love, and see you next week.